They didn't notice her when she left, but they would never forget the day she returned. Mira Khan had grown up in a small town where everyone knew everyone, and where every mistake, every difference, every flaw was remembered forever. To her classmates, she was the quiet girl with worn-out shoes, the girl who sat alone at lunch, the girl whose dreams were too big for someone like her. They called her names she never deserved and laughed at the future she dared to imagine. But what no one saw was the fire inside her. Because the world may have mocked her, but it never broke her. The girl they called a nobody. In school, Mira avoided attention, not out of weakness, but because silence was her strength. She studied harder than anyone, spent nights reading books she borrowed from neighbors, and whispered prayers into the wind that one day, just one day, her life would matter. But high school was cruel. There was Rafia, the self-appointed queen of the class, who mocked Mira's clothes. There was Danish, the class clown, who snatched her notebooks and tossed them around, to make the day more fun. Even the teachers sometimes overlooked her, assuming someone so quiet had little to offer. Mira learned to swallow the hurt, but she never forgot it. She made a promise to herself. One day, they will see me. One day, they will know who I really am. The choice that changed everything. On the last day of school, as students signed yearbooks and took selfies they'd laugh about years later, Mira walked alone to the bus stop. A recruitment poster fluttered on a nearby pole, Army Aviation, become more than you ever thought possible. She paused. Her heart pounded. Something inside her whispered, this is your way out. Your way up. She enlisted 3 months later. Training was brutal. The physical drills pushed her to her limits. The flight simulations were harder than anything she had ever studied. Many quit. Mira didn't. Every insult she'd ever heard became fuel. Every moment someone called her nobody became a reason to fight harder. And one day, after years of sweat, discipline, and relentless dedication, she earned the title no one believed she could achieve. Apache helicopter pilot. The girl they mocked had become one of the most elite aviators in the military. The reunion invitation. 10 years passed. Mira had served in rescue missions in flood zones, flown night operations in conflict areas, and earned medals that she kept quietly tucked away. She never chased fame, she chased purpose. Then one evening, while returning from a training flight, she saw a message on her phone. 10-year reunion, class of 2035. Let's relive the memories. Heart. Memories. Mira almost laughed, but then, something inside her shifted. Not out of revenge, not out of ego, but because she wanted one thing. Closure. She replied with a simple, I'll be there. The day they never expected. The reunion hall buzzed with chatter and nostalgia. People compared jobs, cars, degrees, vacations, everyone trying to prove their worth. Rafia arrived in designer clothes and took center stage as always. Danish bragged about his social media business. Old classmates whispered the same tired question. Is Mira even coming? She was such a nobody. Outside, the clear evening sky trembled with a distant thunder. Not from clouds, not from rain, from rotor blades. The ground vibrated as an Apache helicopter descended slowly, dust swirling in golden spirals. Conversations stopped, phones lifted, hearts pounded. The helicopter touched down with commanding silence. And then they saw her. Mira stepped out in her flight suit, helmet under her arm, boots hitting the ground with calm, steady confidence. Her eyes were no longer downcast, they held the fire of a woman who had earned every inch of her strength. Gasps filled the courtyard. That can't be Mira. No way. She's flying that thing. Rafia's mouth fell open. Danish's voice cracked. Teachers blinked in disbelief. Mira smiled softly, not with arrogance, but with peace. She walked up to her former classmates and simply said, Good evening. It's been a long time. The moment everything changed. At first, there was awkward silence, shame settling over the crowd like dust. Then, Rafia stepped forward, her voice trembling. Mira, we weren't fair to you. Mira didn't gloat. She didn't remind them of the names they called her. She just nodded. I wasn't looking for apologies, she said gently. I just wanted you to see that people can become more than what you expect. Tears welled in a few eyes, teachers especially. One student whispered, Mira, you inspire us. For the first time in her life, she wasn't invisible. She was unforgettable. The message that outlived the moment. That night, Mira stayed only for an hour. She shared stories, not of war or medals, but of perseverance, hope, and the power of believing in yourself when no one else does. Before she left, a younger student who had come with her older sister pulled on her sleeve. "Did people make fun of you too?" the little girl asked. Mira knelt, smiled, and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Yes," she said, "but remember, they only win if you stop believing in who you can become." The girl nodded, eyes shining with newfound courage. Mira climbed back into her Apache, engines roaring as she lifted off into the night sky. This time, no one called her a nobody. They called her a legend. Strong, inspiring ending. Myra's story wasn't about proving others wrong, it was about proving herself right. She didn't return for revenge, she returned as a reminder.